So Extinction is arriving to ARK Ascended imminently, and with it, a lot of features, a lot of new items, resources and creatures you may not remember from the ASE iteration. And whilst we don't know if it's going to be an exact scale repeat of what we've known before, we can look back at the maps that have been brought to Ascended so far and take a stab in the dark that it's probably likely it's going to cover what we've known before. And seeing that I've played Extinction a lot in the past, I can tell you all about it. First off, spawning on the map, there's a bunch of different spawn regions, from the very safe starting location Sanctuary, which you're probably going to want to kick off in, especially if the lampposts are available for you to harvest for some very early electronics and scrap metal, with the Sunken Forest up to the northwest being perhaps an even safer option, but you're going to be limited to that section being deep underground there. And then of course the mini snow and desert arcs, both of which have certainly some hostiles awaiting you in those locations, and all three of those sub-regions all granting you access to a certain titan. Dividing each of these regions is the wasteland, brimming with corrupted creatures, all very much hellbent on destroying you and your bases if you decide to build anywhere within the wasteland, with even another issue on top: the environment, with regular meteor storms raining hellfire down and destroying anything in their wake within this area, as well as its harsh environment causing your food to drop way more rapidly than it normally does, so you definitely don't want to spend too long out there unless you're prepared. But there's many reasons to venture the wasteland, with the primary loot running mini missions, orbital supply drops and element veins, both of which when interacted with initiate a horde style mode where you'll have to defend against a wave upon wave of increasingly difficult enemies, and depending on which difficulty you choose, dictated by the size of the element veins or the colour of the orbital supply drops, will warrant even stronger creatures to be prepared for. But the loot is worthwhile, whilst element veins will simply reward you in element and bucket loads if you've got the right harvesting equipment such as ascendant picks or even Ankies. Orbital supply drops, on the other hand, can grant you some of the best gear in the game, full stop, with the legendary version of OSDs granting you anywhere from black pearl, cementing paste, element dust, element shards or cryopods, through to decent flat gear, decent saddles, with tech gear even coming in better quality than the primitive tiers you've known so far, as well as tech rifles, tech swords, even the mechs, which, yes, is a thing you're going to be able to craft yourself: a giant monster robot wielding a power sword, able to decimate corrupted and carry you pretty far, especially if you've got a high quality one. Just make sure these things are fueled with element dust. And most certainly the route you want to take if you're planning on taming any of the three titans available to fight on the map, all of which have their own cave systems, of which you'll need to explore in either the forest, snow or desert biomes, reaching your way through to an artifact obtainable within each of those caves, and making sure you're well prepared with corrupt hearts as well as many apex items to summon those titans. But in fighting any of those titans, you may want to tame yourself one of the creatures available on Extinction, or being viewable through the multi-visioned Scout remote control you can craft yourself to, of course, scout ahead. With the brand new arrival with the ASA version of the map, Dreadnought seeming to be the best creature to take on these giant kaijus. But not forgetting any enforcers you find throughout Sanctuary, you can kill and obtain a BP to craft yourself a sort of teleporting, wall climbing, pretty zippy creature that can also do extra damage to corrupted creatures as well. The Gacha being the forever redeeming loot source, though you're going to need a lot of greenhouse structures if you plan to tame these, throwing these down for these to eat. But once obtained a mate pair, and make sure you don't have more than a mate pair within a certain foundation radius, you'll find anything you feed to these, they'll start rewarding you loot, of which you'll get a different radius of different loot depending on which gacha you've got, with some even rewarding element dust or black pearls. Those are the best, rarest gachas to find, all of which can be boosted by snow owl pellets. That's a thing that's going to be dropped in the poop form by a snow owl, a new creature with Extinction as well, a favourite one at that glides pretty well, zips you around the map at decent speeds, using the same fertilizer to keep your crops growing if you choose to, but more importantly using their freezing heal function to heal any creature within radius. And that does mean, yes, including wild, so any creatures you've run into that you've attempted to tame and you've messed up and almost killed the thing, you can use a snow owl to keep them healed up. In the same snowy region that they occupy, you'll find managamas, my favourite friends, that have a wonderful selection of jumps, of which you get to use 3 in quick succession: jumping, sliding and boosting, with you only being able to do those in one succession before it repeating again. But you'd be surprised how far these knockout creatures really travel you. And of course it's auto aim freeze breath, which is going to make trolling an absolute nightmare on PvP once again. Overlooking the doggo, of which Wildcard expect to be your new favourite companion, so I would imagine you're going to be able to tame this one pretty quickly early on in the game, and offering a wide variety of abilities. Don't forget the Velonosaur that you can find in Scorched Earth is now your free turret mode creature, able to sit them in place and shoot their spindles at anything and everything that it sees. And yes, that does mean including you attempting to tame one, you may find it not as easy as you think, because they will rip your armor apart. But once tamed, depending on how balanced Wildcard decide to make these could be absolute chiefs on taking down most things, and even being the go-to creature if looking to take on OSDs. Though we found in ASE it ended up being something a bit more area controlling, such as a Giga or Karka, which too are both on extinction. And as you build up and work your way through the tiers, you're going to find yourself a boatload of different resources. In fact, a different alternate variation of resources that you've known so far in ARK, displayed in Extinction with different names, but do pretty much the same thing. With blue crystallized sap harvested from fungal trees in the wasteland around Sanctuary doubling up as blue gems, red crystallized sap harvested from blood-ridden trees at the north part of the wastelands to, you guessed it, replace red gems, but green gems still acting as you've known them in Aberration, but this time called fragmented green gems and harvested from blue crystals in Sanctuary. Corrupted wood acts exactly like wood would, so if you want to use wood for anything that wood does, then corrupted wood does that, as well as replacing fungal wood that's used to make any aberration items that require fungal wood. Condensed gas being a new farmable, harvestable resource that you'll be able to farm in the bucket load in the sulfur field southwest of Sanctuary, though it's definitely a weighty resource until you pop them in a forge and burn them into congealed gas balls, which you use to make a bunch of aberration based items. Silicate being a harvestable resource that you'll find in the bucket load within the Forbidden Zone, replacing silica pearls. And corrupted nodules replacing poly, which you'll be able to harvest from killing any corrupted creatures on the map. All of which you'll need to make some of the new extinction items, such as the tech gravity grenade, taxidermy tool, wealth of different attachments for your mechs, delivery crates, dino leashes that help keep your creatures contained within a certain area, now allowing you some control on where they go, and your precious taxidermy bases, which I know you've been waiting for to arrive to display your favourite survivors or creatures. With tech bridges being one of the very few tech unlocks that doesn't require you to actually beat a boss to unlock, but a wealth of different tech unlocks if you decide to face one of the 3 titans, the forest, desert or ice titans, and all of which you're going to need to kill if you decide to obtain their trophy heads in order to summon the very final boss, the King Titan, coming in gamma, beta and alpha forms, of which you're going to need to beat each version and then go back and kill the titans again to face the next tier of King Titan, to finally face the mother of all bosses and perhaps one of the most epic fights in ARK, the Alpha King Titan, a powerhouse that's going to require your most powerful creatures that you've obtained up until this point. I'm hoping we might see some use of the battle rigs that are coming with this version of Extinction as well, in order to complete the first story element of ARK's adventure. The bridge between that and the next map is a bit ambiguous, with us speculating maybe there's some links to other maps we haven't seen yet to explain more, and maybe within this ASA version of Extinction we may actually get a teaser of what's to come around the corner, what's in Wildcard's thought box on how we transition to the next story map that we're theorizing might drop before Gen 1. But either way, in killing any tier of the Titan is going to reward you with a bunch of different element and tech rewards, as well as the ultimate Homo Deus implant, ascending you to the likes of Helena herself. Or once again, will it? Will Wildcard decide to change how Extinction ends? Will the secret ascension notes that you need a tech helmet to observe and read and interpret to what they exactly say offer you maybe even more information on a fleshed out lore further than we've known in the ASE version of Extinction? And with this map now not being the closed book that Wildcard thought it was when they first released it way back, I think we might see a few changes, and I'm hoping a bunch of you out there, including myself, will be on the lookout to see what new Easter eggs Wildcard may have dropped with this Ascended adventure. My name's Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, peace out.